So in a couple of days, my wife and I, Kathy, are going to celebrate our 8th wedding anniversary. You might be asking, why is it such a special occasion to have an 8th wedding anniversary? Well, for me, it's really been the year more than the number of years. It's been this year in 2020 because, as we all know, it's been a challenging year. But for me, I think what it's done is it's really made me kind of look back and reflect on how blessed I've been in my life, and particularly the people that I've been able to share the experiences of life with, and my family and my daughter and friends, and in particular my wife. You know, her and I both come from pretty stable family households. I mean, her parents and my parents have been married for 60 years plus, probably. So, you know, I grew up kind of thinking that hey, this marriage gig's pretty easy, man, pretty easy going. Any of you have been married, you know that's not always the case. I mean, there's struggles and challenges you have to go through, and we've had ours. You know, we definitely have not been immune to those, but you know, it's a growing process, and you know, we got married, both of us, so late in life that we were both pretty set in our ways. You know, so it takes time, you know, to kind of integrate those systems together, but that's part of the reward of the process. You know, learning how to do that, and learning patience and acceptance and tolerance, and you know, learning how to be flexible with what's important to someone else in your life. You know. Anyway, I really enjoyed the journey up to this point, and what I want to do is just kind of go back and take a look at where it began, and just invite you all to come on the journey with us. I mean, this is really kind of more of a tribute to you know, how important she's been in my life, and being that this is coming up on our anniversary, I thought I'd do something a little different this year, and kind of take her on a trip back from even when we started to date through the engagement and the wedding and all that kind of stuff. So come on, let's go for a ride.
All right, so we're going to take you on a quick tour.
I'm so excited. It's heaven on earth.
Well, I'm pretty sure when my wife said heaven on earth, she wasn't referring to Las Vegas, but because that's where they had the cheapest flights. That's where this journey begins. Now, Kathy's never been much west of the I-75 corridor, and I've never been to the Grand Canyon or to Yosemite National Park. Now, there were two things I knew I wanted to accomplish on this trip. One, I wanted to take Kathy on a grand tour of some amazing sights, and second, I wanted to find the perfect place to pop the question. Now, after a fun night in Vegas where we celebrated my 41st birthday, got up the next day and did a little bit of the Hoover Dam experience, and then we started on the trek east to the Grand Canyon. Now, I knew before I even got on the plane that the Grand Canyon was likely going to be the place where I was going to take a knee, pull out that ring, and ask Kathy to marry me. So we did what every good tourist does and walked around and took in the sights. But all the while, I kept looking. Is that the spot? Maybe that's a spot. Is that the spot? Well, it definitely was not going to be the gum tree. Finally, I found the spot. It was about 20 feet from the cliff's edge, tucked away nicely, probably 100 to 150 feet from the nearest pathway. This was the view from what I like to call Proposal Rock. I looked and pointed and said that I think I see a bald eagle. So of course she turned her head, and then I got down on a knee and pulled out the ring, and much to my joy, the answer was yes. I'll be honest with you, I probably felt about 50 pounds lighter after that was over. So now it just felt like it was time to continue on with our journey and enjoy the rest of the vacation. So I'll let the pictures tell the story. gotta tell you, Kathy was kind of digging this West Coast vibe, making all kinds of interesting new discoveries and other things that, quite frankly, you just don't see in good old Van Buren County, Michigan. So we really had a great time. But one of the things that we both wanted to accomplish while we were here is either of us had ever actually seen the Pacific Ocean, and we were really hoping to catch a sunset. So it was a mad dash to try to find some coastline, and we literally found a park about 10 minutes before the sunset. So the next step on this magical life journey obviously was to find a place to call home. Then we also needed to find a church to call home and to get married in. So now that the groundwork was set, all she had to do was gather up her troops and her family. Plus, for the record, I don't think you could ask for a better group of people to call your in-laws. Then, of course, it was time for me to gather up my posse. We kept the wedding very small. It was family only, the only exception being, of course, my best man, who I told my wife I was obligated to due to a bet I lost in high school. Okay, I cheated. This picture was actually taken after the ceremony. Anyway, my wife had all of her appropriate bling. She was looking absolutely beautiful, and she was ready to go. I don't think she was nervous particularly. Then we got all the paperwork signed and in order. Then, of course, it was time for the delivery. Felt a little strange to be singing at my own wedding, but my wife wanted me to, and as we know, you never say no to a woman on her wedding day. The vows were spoken, the rings were exchanged. Now it was time to get on with this thing. We actually had our first date at a long-standing Italian restaurant that just happened to be literally probably 200 yards from the church. So it seemed the obvious choice for a good place to have our wedding reception, and it just turned out great. They treated us so good, and you know, as I said, there was only probably 25 or 30 of us total. So we really had a lot of fun, and just couldn't have asked for a better wedding experience. We didn't actually take our honeymoon till the following year, but I knew that I definitely had to take her somewhere warm. So when the honeymoon time came, off to Arizona we went.
Hello, my name's Darren. That's my wife, Kathy. Kathy is going to share now her enthusiasm for the journey ahead. We have come quite a long ways, but we do have the probably the more severe portion ahead. So we'll keep you posted.
So now we're married and the honeymoon is in the bag, and you've all heard the expression, when the honeymoon is over. Well, lucky for me, things didn't turn out like this picture might indicate. But I did learn a little something about a thing called the honey-do list. I like poking fun at her about the honey-do list because in all actuality I've got it pretty easy when it comes to that. But there are probably a few things that have been on it for several years.
Next year, we're putting down weed barrier.
This one wasn't fun, but she worked with me every step of the way. We actually broke it up into, I think, like 4 weekends and just did like a 20-foot section every week. But took some time, a lot of digging. It turned out pretty good. One of the things I love about my wife is she's generally pretty tolerant of my crazy adventures sometimes, within reason, as long as it doesn't confine her in a tight space or have anything to do with science fiction. She'll occasionally even gear up for a college football game, though it's rare. Through our years of marriage, we discovered there's several things we enjoy to do together. Painting for gold is one of the more recent endeavors. Of course, the kazoo battles are always a good time, but I can always count on her to kind of keep me from going over the edge. You know what I'm saying? I've really got it pretty easy, man. You know, I got to tag along in the occasional shopping trip and of course tell her how beautiful she looks in her new hat. She likes to go out and hike or maybe on a bike ride sometimes, and of course have our occasional game night. Though she doesn't ask very often, she knows I'm always willing to help out with gardening. I think one of the things I've learned in marriage is that you just need to be able to recognize when your significant other just needs to kind of have their zen time and be able to relax and, you know, be in their own space from time to time. And of course, you know, you learn those things about each other where you can have zen time together. You know, whether it be sitting around a fire outside or inside. Or I've been very fortunate that one of my wife's favorite zen spaces is actually in the kitchen. She loves to cook and I love to eat, so that's worked out pretty well, except for my waistline. I learned early on, just don't get in the way of her morning coffee, even if it means buying your own coffee shop. Just kidding, I didn't do that. Mainly, we both just really love to be outside and go on hikes and just explore new areas, places we haven't been before. And of course, we have our go-tos, places where we just like to go be outside and maybe sip on a glass of wine or have some tasty food. And we always like trying to find, you know, new places, even if we've got to drive an hour or something. It's fun just to get out and tool around. And of course, we both have a soft spot for live music. I mean, my wife listens to music all the time. And we love to go to concerts and actually probably wish that we would go to more. Maybe that's something we'll work on in years to come. Another thing I love about my wife is she allows me to have my zen time as well. You know, she knows that she can tell when I just need to kind of disappear into my music space or my work space or my fishing space. But I truly think that, you know, when we're both at our best is when we're at it as a team, and you know, finding those things that bring us joy together. And sometimes it's just as simple as me wanting to take my hot wife out for a date night. One thing that I try not to overlook and take for granted is this kind of the supportive role that she plays in my workspace, you know, and in my career. And she's always been very involved, you know, particularly when we were doing the truck driving championships in Arkansas for 3 years. That was just a really good experience for both of us, and a really valuable, memorable time that we had spent together. She's got a pretty competitive spirit about her, and you know, she always pushed me, and you know, most importantly, I guess, just gave me the confidence too, you know. I mean, she lets me have my occasional, you know, weekend with the boys, and a couple times a year I have my weekend fishing trip with the fishing gang, and every so often the Zoom calls with the boys and the jam sessions with the boys, and every now and then she'll even come out and hang out with us too, And I mean, obviously you have to be respectful and use your guy time sparingly. But she's understanding of it, She puts up with my different moods, and of course I had to work real hard to make that mad face, just saying. But I think where we're just really kindred spirits is when it just comes to traveling. We just both love to get out and explore and go to new places, that we've never been before. She definitely does prefer this mode of transportation, though, I will say that. Well, you guys have heard enough of my yapping, so I'm just going to let the pictures kind of tell you the story of some of our adventures and places we've been. Happy anniversary, honey. Thank you for being a blessing in my life and for being who you are. I love you, and I look forward to many more years of adventures with you by my side.